Good morning. Good morning. Today, I just want to talk to you about a presentation that I'm doing. I can't take it anymore. I just can't take it anymore. Now, have you ever gotten so tired where you just wanted to quit? Have you ever gotten so tired where you just wanted to quit? You just didn't want to keep going because the passion, the burning desire that you once had before just died out. Well, let's go ahead and dive into this presentation and I'll go ahead and explain more to you. So, who am I? Guys, I'm a wife of 7 years. I've been married to a wonderful husband for 7 years. I'm also a mom of three beautiful, adorable children. My son on the right at the top, he's 6 years old. He's also suffering with a speech delay. We've been seeking help since he was 3 years old, and so far we're not happy with the services that we've received. So I plan on homeschooling my children in 2018 during the next school season. And on the left is my daughter in pink. She's my adorable princess. And yes, guys, her name is Princess. She's 5 years old. And that day was actually her birthday. And she does not have a speech problem. She actually does very well does very well. My two children at the top does not go to the same school, so that's kind of why I'm leaning towards the homeschooling and because I'm not happy with the school system raising my children and my son, he's not getting the help that he truly needs. And then that is my 9-month-old baby at the bottom, on the left at the bottom. He's 9 months. He's 9 months. He actually turned 9 months yesterday. And in this photo, he's about 1 or 2 months, but he was a new baby when we took this photo of him. So adorable. So I'm also 26 years old, guys. I'm 26, a young mama, and I'm in business for myself. I also love cooking, and that's just what I love doing. I love coming up with new ideas. I love getting recipes and learning to cook new things, but I'm leaning towards the healthy side because I'm also type 2 diabetic. Um, and I'm just trying to get more healthy instead of being sick all the time and not feeling well. So also, and my what I'm passionate about, what I love doing is teaching newbies how to grow their business and finding purpose within themselves. That's what I love to do, and I love teaching, especially all the new people, because when I first came into this industry, I was new, I was lost, I was confused, and I didn't have the correct mentorship to show me how to grow my business online. I winded up uh, searching Google, which Google turned into my best friend, and also looking at YouTube videos. And I was searching for ways to grow my business. But that definitely wasn't enough to take my business to the next level. So I definitely suffered online for 5 years, and I recently found what has helped me today. I recently found this system that has definitely helped me to take my business to the next level, and I've been educating myself since then. I've been getting education since then. Okay. So, if you're like this woman here, because I once was like her, I was once like her. I was very frustrated. So, if you anything like I was frustrated, guys. I was frustrated. It seemed no matter what I did, I just couldn't satisfy my boss. I was always the kind of person to actually want to satisfy the person in charge, like my manager. I wanted to the person over the company. I wanted to just satisfy the person in charge. Because everything I did, and I just felt like their leadership was important and that I had to do everything in my will to be noticed so that I can too be where they are. So I did everything to be noticed of my work, and I believe I noticed that I always had that entrepreneurial spirit because I was so competitive and I was so leaning towards helping others and in making more income because I was never, I wasn't satisfied with just regular, with just normal, whatever we call normal today. I wasn't just satisfied with that. So everything I did to be noticed, everything I did, I wanted to be noticed of my work. But guess what? I was never recognized. And I guess I probably tried too hard. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Slide 4. This is the boss of over the company. The boss that doesn't really care about you. They don't care about listening to anything that you say, but basically they're happy getting rich off you. So the reality of making my boss happy literally meant I was making them rich, filling their pockets with goods and working, and I was working on a minimum wage income without a raise. Guys, I never received a raise. After 3 years of working for a single company, you would think that you would receive a raise, but I never received a raise and I was so upset. Um and yes, I asked, but I never received the raise. So let's go on to slide 5. Now the boss that never listens to you. Now this was my boss. He never listened to anything I had to say. So, and here I was standing here confused, wondering why my boss wasn't listening to me. Well, every time I had a question, my boss would run. Wasn't listening. He wasn't listening. I would have to fill out a form, and that question was never replied to. Whatever question I had, it was never replied to. So I felt like I felt left out. I felt left out. I really felt devastated because, like, I would try to communicate, but the communication was always dead. I tried everything to communicate, but it was dead. The only time they would communicate with me is if it was about me coming into work. So, and then also when I needed a raise, my boss was nowhere to be found. I put in a request for that as well, and my boss was nowhere to be found. He would run. He would run, literally run. That's what I believe, because everyone else received a raise, but I never received. And yes, I asked, but maybe he overlooked what I said. Maybe he didn't hear quite well. I don't know. But whatever the reason was, I believe that whatever I had to say to people, it was not being heard. And that was because I felt like I was too nice. I was always accepting shifts. I was always going to work. I always did what I had to do for my children. And I would go in on sick days. When I would tell them I wasn't feeling well, they called me in anyways. And I went in. And so, choosing favorites, I totally hate this because my boss says I felt like my bosses everywhere that I worked, they were always choosing favorites. It was always, if I don't really go by any of that, but that is what they were doing. They were choosing favorites based on their backgrounds. And I'm not, choosing, saying anything, anything, but, that's how I felt. I truly felt like they were choosing favorites, and they weren't really looking at me, and they would look at me like I was dumb. They would look at me like I'm stupid. They would look at me like what you're saying to me is not important. So, I overlook you like this guy in the background. This is the boss's favorite right here. Because look at how he's responding to this person. A handshake, he got his arm on his shoulder, and he's really not paying attention to me over here. No matter what, I felt like the black sheep in the company. I felt out of place. Um, and then having to work overtime at last minute. Well, I definitely had to work overtime at last minute. I would be called in, and let me tell you about this overtime. It doesn't have to be on the same shift, but it was overtime if you had to go stay for work when you had to go home. So that is counted as overtime, and as a CNA as well. So I was I was working an 8 to 8 shift. I was feeling sick towards the end, and I got a phone call. My head was feeling like it was about to explode. My brain felt like it was literally about to explode out of my head. And I was called, my boss called me, so I picked it up because I thought that it was just, it was an important question. I thought it was so important that I had to take it. But it wasn't that's still important, but it wasn't as important for me because I really needed to go home and I needed to get rest and I needed to get medication because I was feeling. And being a diabetic, you need rest. And I was up on my feet all day that day, tending to my client and making sure she cooking her meals and making sure everything was, fine with her. So, and I loved what I did. I had passion for it. I loved everything I did, but I was told to go into Miss Emma's house, and that is an example. An example. I'm not, giving real names based on confidentiality. So, I was told to go into Miss Emma's house, and I was like, I really didn't want to because I was like, uh-oh. Like I really wanted to go home. I was about to say I'm sick, but my boss kept insinuating that I go in because they had nobody else in the area and I was the only one in the area. If I could please run over to this client house, all I had to do was possibly feed her, get her a bath. No, get her a bath and put her to bed. That's all I had to do. Get her a bath and put her to bed. Um, I was hurting the entire time. I was hurting the entire time. I was dealing with my client, but I was making sure she was good. I took her a bath and I got her ready for bed. Her husband was so happy that I showed up because they absolutely loved me, and he was happy that I showed up because it was my client too. So I had about 3 clients. I don't know how many clients at the time. I can't remember, but I had 2 clients. I was dealing with her with another client that I was with, and then I had to go to her, Miss Emma, the second client. But I had multiple clients that I was working with, and I had to go to Miss Emma's house and it got her ready for bed. She was happy that I showed up too, although she never really said it because how she felt, you know. And I truly understand people and what they're going through and how they feel. But yeah, so I had to put her to bed, and on the way out to go home, I was literally crying on the way home, and it was making it worse. Me crying was making it worse. I was shaking. I felt like I would run off the road. But I was, I went in. I sacrificed my pain, my sickness to go into work for the company that didn't give a rat's two cent about me. And also called and being called in on your day off. I want to talk to you guys about that. Being called in on your day off. Don't you just hate that? It happened to me. My companies never respected me, no matter what. Because I was so darn nice. I was always accepting shifts. So that's why they kept calling me on my day off. It wasn't like I was requested to be off because I never had a request in that I was off, except on holidays. I would request those days off. But on weekends, regular weekends, when I really don't have a shift, then they would just call me in anyways. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something with my family. And I would tell them, but they would still insinuate that I go in. So me, being so nice, I would always say yes. I was always the type to say yes. But you have to stand your ground. You have to learn to say no when it's the right time to say no. So always being the puppet for any company. Now, I don't care where you're working. You're not supposed to be a puppet. You're supposed to allow your time to allow yourself to get rest and rest before you start to work another shift. That is what I failed to realize, and I was ended up like this woman here, and always in despair, always sad, I always felt like my work was never cared for. So that's how I felt. Now let's move on to slide 6. Are you tired by now, guys? Are you tired by now? I felt just like Rihanna in this photo. I felt like Rihanna, man. I felt like Rihanna because I was called in for a shift. I was pregnant and I was working hard. I was pregnant and I was working hard. At this time, I was working for I believe 2 home healthcare companies now because I needed more income because I didn't get a raise, so I needed more income, so I was overworking myself extra. And I was called in last minute when I was at a shift at nighttime. I was at a shift. I was called in last minute, and I said, I don't know. I was, of course, the only one that was able to take a shift. So because they always use this statement with me, we have no one else. You're the only one that can do it. We can count on you. You're my favorite girl. They're always saying I'm their favorite, but they never treated me like their favorite. I was never treated like a favorite. And although I hate favoritism, I was never anyone's favorite, guys. I was always the one feeling left out. I just wanted to be a part. You know, I don't want to be your favorite, but I just want to be a part of that. I just want to be a part of that. To feel like what I did was appreciated enough for you to respect me. So if that makes sense, then it does make sense to me because who don't want to feel accepted? Who don't want to feel like what they're doing, their work is enough? So yeah, I was called in and I was told to go in, and then the next day, I realized that my tires weren't working. My husband winded up driving the truck, and he said, "Babe, the tires are bad." And I told my job prior to that shift starting. I told them, and what they did was got upset with me trying to convince me to find a way to go to work. I really, guys, I don't. If I'm going to tell you, I don't have family in the area. My husband has his family in the area, but they are always busy. They either are at work or they're either doing something. And my family are not close. They all actually moved to Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale. So I'm like stuck, so I'm here and I have no one to drive me and is working. Everybody has a job. So how can you tell me to find a way when I don't have a way? Everyone is working. They all are trying to get to point A to point B. So I can't interrupt them. I have nobody. So that was the truth. And I told my job. And they really, they was upset because I told the truth. And because I told them I couldn't you need to find someone else to go. I really can't show up. Please find someone else. And I begged them to find someone else. Like I really didn't have to do that, but I did because I was truly telling them that I couldn't come in. So they winded up letting me go that same exact day, and I was feeling so horrible. I felt devastated. I was crying. I was in tears. I was in pain. I was like aggravated. Like, why? Why? I worked so hard for 3 years for your company, but I and never received a raise and always went to work, never missed a day in my life. I always showed up. I never missed a day. So I wonder what I ever did. What have I ever done to you to do that? All I needed was a suspension. You could have at least suspended me, but all you did the ultimate thing was the fire in the hat. I got over it, guys, and I'm still in business for myself. I'm still working for myself. I work hard because my ultimate dream is to be my own boss. That is exactly why I don't want to work for someone because I don't want to be on someone else's time. I don't want to be let go for no unreason, no uncalled reason. I always knew that I would be my own boss. I always knew that I would be my own boss. So I don't have to answer to anyone. So let's move on to the next slide. Thank you for your time, guys. But wait, but wait, I have something on the other side for you. I really appreciate you guys for watching at this time, at this moment in time. Well, I want to thank you. So let's move on to slide 8. My solution to you guys, I am literally doing a 5-day challenge. It begins on January 1st, so doors will be closing on January 1st. It's at Ramp Up Your Leads Academy. I will be hosting a 5-day social branding challenge over at Ramp Up Your Leads Academy, and it will definitely help you get clear on your vision and your goals and how to brand you and your business, how to really do what you have to do to grow a strong foundation for your business. So that is what I'm doing over at Ramp Up Your Leads Academy, okay? And I want to help you. So thank you for your time. Once more, thank you for your time. I am so happy that you made it and you watched this entire presentation. Thank you for your time. And let's rock out 2018. So, if you want a strong finish in 2018, if you want a strong beginning in 2018, get started with the 5 day social branding challenge, request entry, answer the questions that I have for you, and let's rock 2018. See ya.